Let's talk a little bit more about the economy, because this spells more sort of democratic woes in terms of some of the shifts that are happening right now. First of all, we have been taking a close look at the housing market. Saagar did a fantastic monologue on that yesterday, and there's new news there, which again was kind of a predictable outcome of the Federal Reserve policy. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. From the Wall Street Journal, they say home builders are offering to sell homes in bulk at discount to investors. As mortgage rates hit a 15-year high and individual buyers back away, builders look to unload both planned and completed homes. So we really, at this point, have a worst of all worlds in terms of regular people and the housing market. So prices, like sticker prices, have come down somewhat on houses. But that has been coupled with such a massive spike in mortgage rates that these homes are wildly less affordable than they used to be. And I do encourage you to listen to Saagar's monologue yesterday, because he goes through some of the numbers. It's hard to wrap your head around just how much of a difference it makes in terms of your monthly mortgage cost, the difference between, a 3% mortgage rate and a 7% mortgage rate. It like doubles the amount that you're paying
100%.
Month to month. So this has put these houses wildly out of reach of most American regular consumers. So at the same time, you have these home builders who were starting to ramp up before the Fed started to hike interest rates, starting to ramp up, more building, which is something we really desperately need because we are short in terms of housing stock. And now their costs to finance these projects are going up. They don't have the individual buyers because they can't afford the mortgage interest rates as they are now. So they're pulling back from these projects. And then the inventory that they already have, since they can't get individual buyers because the mortgage rates, they're offloading them at a discount, oftentimes to these companies that want to buy up a bunch of single family homes and then rent them to you at a profit. So they want to be like America's landlord. This is, again, something we have sort of been predicting from the beginning. The only people this market is good for is those who have massive amounts of cash or ability to get, financing at decent rates, who can snatch up all of these houses. And they're saying they're selling them for, 15 and 20% discounts. So they're getting a great deal to be able to profit in the future. So if you're a renter, you're getting screwed because rents are going up. If you're a homeowner, you're getting screwed because prices are going down. And with mortgage rates so high, if you want to move, you can't because you're terrified of what that mortgage interest rate is going to be. If you're a prospective buyer, you can forget about it because of the mortgage interest rates. Really, the only ones that benefit from this are permanent capital yet again. Other piece that I wanted to point to here, just to underscore the part about how home prices are falling, just not the affordability of homes. Let's put this next piece from Bloomberg up on the screen. This is kind of a scary headline. U.S. home prices now posting biggest monthly drops since 2009. What was going on in 2009? Cities facing steepest corrections include San Francisco. Inventory levels stayed relatively flat, according to one data provider. So you are seeing home prices pull back, which of course, if you're a homeowner and you see your value of your home go down, that means your overall wealth is going down. They're stuck in their homes if they want to move because of these mortgage rates being so high, and people can't buy in now because it is so unaffordable. It really is a worst of all world situation.
And to underscore what I said yesterday, you can cheer, but the home price index only fell by 0.98%.
Yeah.
So if the home price goes down 1%, and mortgage rate goes up 100%, who's coming out on top? Are you going to be able to afford a house? This is why all this cheering. Look, I just fundamentally do not believe, just also from an literal equity perspective, I don't mean in the diverse sense, that the U.S. government will ever let housing prices drop by more than 20%. Because then
homeowners are too powerful.
Exactly. They're the most powerful people in the world. They have all the money, 1/3 or something, I think, of the cash. Some 68% of Americans have at least some home equity, disproportionately higher amongst elder folks. I'm certain that if those people are that affected, that something will happen. So my point is that you can't, for you to wish that the price keeps going down to be equal to the increase in your average monthly mortgage, you would have to wish for essentially a 50% or almost 100% reduction. That's just not going to happen. So my point is, okay, let's say they slide 10. Again, you're still out of a hell of a lot of money if you're still trying to afford something. And the other problem is, this will be the situation for years to come. Already, the Fed is we are not even considering lowering rates till 2024. We're not even consider it for another year and a half or so. And then let's say they do lower it by a point, 100 basis points, something like that. You're still way higher than you were previously. Now, I think there's a lot of critiques of a zero interest rate environment. I think it, bubbles and so many assets, et cetera. But the point is not to punish the people who won't be as affected and who didn't accumulate tens of billions of dollars of wealth during that interim period. They were just kind of skating by, riding a little bit of the benefit, but they weren't reaping nearly as much of the benefit as everybody else. You have to have some sort of rebalancing that happens.
I mean, this situation with housing being so unaffordable, I mean, it really is kind of a powder keg because this is a crucial part of, this is the way you build stable middle class wealth for yourself and for your kids for the future. It'd be great if there were other pathways, but this is basically the pathway. And you are, for effectively, now 2 generations, millennials and Gen Z, shutting that off. That is a powder keg kind of environment. It's not only a problem here, it's a problem overseas as well in a lot of other places. It's part of what's going on in the UK right now as well. But I don't think I really had looked closely at the numbers before of just how quickly things become unaffordable with mortgage prices going up.
Right.
And so
I never thought about it either.
I really, I always looked at housing prices in terms of like, oh, what is the actual cost? 300,000, 400,000, whatever. But it really has so much more to do with what that mortgage interest rate is that you were able to lock in and what your monthly payment then is going to be, whether you can afford it or not. So that has been a lesson for me throughout all of this, that the price really has very little to do ultimately with how affordable the housing stock is. And there are a lot of metrics that say basically housing has never been less affordable for your average American than it is now. That is an absolute disaster. And I think it's really important to underscore this was the intent, like this was the Fed's intent, was to cause exactly this situation and to try to effectively crash the housing market. But again, if part of your issue here is a supply issue, by increasing the rates, and that's what this Wall Street Journal piece really points out, you're also causing additional supply issues. So exactly the problem that spiked inflation to start with, you're actually exacerbating by increasing these rates as well. So it's an ugly situation. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.